Just want to share my thoughts as a recap of free agency and activities surrounding the club. A year ago, we became Stanley Cup champions. We were fortunate to only have 2 UFAs on our team at that time that we wished to retain, in Aiden Hill and Ivan Barbashev. Led to one move of Riley Smith being traded. Fortunate that the remainder of our team was under contract and intact. This year we went into the season with 5 UFAs, Chandler, Marshy, Will Carrier, Michael Amadio, along with Alec Martinez on our back end. And the reality of winning the Stanley Cup took place this year, as opposed more so to last year when you would expect. Over the course of the season, we tried to sign every player that was an unrestricted free agent, with the exception of Alec Martinez. We agreed to wait till the end of the year. So we had conversations with representatives of each player, and the players, as is their right, really wanted to capitalize on being champions and really wanted to do the best they could in contract negotiations, looking at it as their chance to really sign the best contract possible. We continued to negotiate with people throughout the year. We got to the trade deadline. The decisions we made at the trade deadline were designed to help our team for the playoffs, where we were trying to repeat as Stanley Cup champions, and as well to keep us out of free agency today by having, with the case of Noah Hannafin, who we signed to a contract upon trading for him, Thomas Hurdle, who was under contract. Those players become part of our team for the coming season, which is part of the makeup of our roster and leads to some of the decisions that had to be made. We think those are really good additions. This is the realities of the NHL. You've got good players that have been on a good team, that have had success. Every guy moves on to a real good contract in another organization, and we wish them the very best. When the season ended, the only free agent that we continued to negotiate with was with Jonathan Marchessault. With Marshy, we spoke to Marshy before the season began. We spoke to Marshy at the All-Star break, and when I say to Marshy, some of those conversations would be with his representatives. And then following the season, we had a number of meetings with his agent, Pat Brisson. We had numerous calls. We met in person twice at Buffalo at the NHL Combine. We met in person at the draft here on 2 occasions. And on Thursday, the day before the NHL draft, we felt that we had a pathway to get a deal done. I felt both parties were on the way to completing a deal. The next day, just prior to the draft, things really changed. And in the case of Marshy, it was really important for him to get the term of 5 years. That wasn't something that we were comfortable with, and quite frankly, the data doesn't support. He's going to be 38 years old in that final season, and maybe Marshy can, because he's proved people wrong his whole career, but it wasn't a position that we were comfortable with, the 5-year term. So that's really where it got to, and we couldn't bridge that gap. He moves on. We wish him well. All of the things that you people know about him are all the things that I got to enjoy every day. My personal relationship with him was great. His moments in our organization, in terms of the key moments, none better, and he'll go and continue to do the same thing with his new team in Nashville. With the others, again, it was their chance to capitalize. And free agency this year, as I mentioned, we wanted to try to stay out of free agency because of the money that was being spent. Today felt like 2016. There was some money back in the system. There were a lot of contracts given out today that had big term and had big AAV. Those would be my opening thoughts on the free agents that are outgoing. In terms of what we did with our roster, of course, we talked about the trade on Saturday of Logan Thompson, talked about the trade of Paul Cotter, the acquisition of Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid. Today in free agency, as I suggested to you on Saturday, we added a backup goaltender in Ilya Samsonov, who comes to us after his time in Toronto. We again today came to agreement with restricted free agents Caden Korzak and Pavel Dorofeyev. We expect in the case of Pavel to really continue to blossom in the opportunity that he's going to now have on our team, and Caden Korzak will be a full-time NHL player this year based on what we saw from his time with our team last year. He's more than ready, I think, to step into an NHL lineup. Those are the moves that we made today, and I'd open it up to questions if I could, maybe before we do. I'm sure everybody's going to be watching development camp here this week. It's a really important week for the organization, for our scouting staff. We've got a lot of the key people from our amateur staff are here, our player development people are here, our pro scouting staff are in town because of free agency as well as development camp. It's a great opportunity to see the progression from one year to the next for the players that are here for the second or third time. It's a good opportunity for our organization to look at college free agents. So we look forward to watching the players on ice this week. I'd open it up to any questions.
Start with Danny.
Kelly, I'm not sure if you heard Jonathan's comments this morning. He said that the team didn't try its best to keep him around. I'm not sure if you have any comments as far as to what he had said, but after everything that you just laid out, do you have any response to that?
I didn't, Danny. We were working all day. Couldn't be further from the truth, I guess is what I would say. Marshy's a fiery guy, so he would perhaps feel that way. I think anybody that's knows me, knows Marshy, our time together in this organization, the value we have on him, the respect we have for him, I would disagree with that, Dan.
Can you just talk about what you liked in Ilya Samsonov? And we haven't seen the details of that. If you could just give us what the terms of the deal were.
It was a one-year contract for $1.8 million, and we did a lot of work on our goaltending with Sean Burke and Mike Rosati as well, who is an organization evaluating goaltenders, and Sean feels he's a real good goaltender that had a down year, and is a perfect guy to bet on and bring in. Similar mindset or thought process to when we acquired Aiden Hill.
Danny.
Former first-round pick, good pedigree, size, athleticism.
Among the RFAs, we noticed Akira Schmid was not qualified. Is there a pathway to bring him back, or do you expect to sign him to a new deal? Or
we'll have something put together there shortly.
Yeah.
How much more activity do you anticipate, whether it be through free agents remaining or possible trades?
Both are possible. I don't know that anything's necessarily probable, but both are possibilities. When we look at our team next year, we feel we're really strong in goal. Love our defense, love our centers. I think that we've got some forwards on the wings that are ready to take on more responsibility and bigger roles. We might continue to look there. We've got some younger people that I think are going to get better looks for opportunities to play, and that's a little bit of the transition when some players move on from an organization. It's going to provide opportunity for some other players, and you go back to the expansion year. That was all about guys coming in and getting more opportunity than the year before where they played. So we'll see how that plays out, but we're open-minded to either possibility.
Kelly, just what do you think about free agency, just compared to years past, just some of the deals that were done today, and maybe just in comparison to years past that you saw?
Yeah, I think significantly different, and likely as simple as more money in the system compared to the flat cap that we had for like 4 or 5 years through the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, and this would be more along the lines of what 2016, 2017, what those opening days of free agency looked like. Traditionally, there's a lot of mistakes made on July 1st. Obviously, there's a lot of situations where teams really do help their teams help their team by adding the right players at the right price, but it doesn't always work out with all of the transactions that happen on opening day.
The value of the contract on Hurdle, San Jose retains a bit, so it's just north of 6, and then you extended Hannafin long term. You said you wanted to avoid free agency. Do those contracts compare pretty favorably to what you saw handed out today?
Yeah, I think. Thomas was under contract, so that would be a different situation. Noah was a expiring contract when we traded for him. We talked with his representation during the season to get a contract done to avoid a situation exactly like today. Both players I think are going to be really important on our team this year, and we're happy to have them. I think Noah really added some speed to our back end, partnered well with different players because of the in and out we had with some of the injuries and whatnot. So as I touched on earlier, I think our centers and our D are really the strength of our team, along with our goaltending.
Kelly, you mentioned maybe the spending was a little different this year in free agency. Is that something you anticipated going in, or if not, did that maybe change the plan you had going in when you saw how teams were spending?
No, we anticipated this for quite a few months, that this would be the result. The cap went up, everybody had more money, and this is a time where teams will look to shore up weaknesses from the previous year. When you look at some of the big spenders, it's teams that are really trying to change course and made those corresponding moves to try to improve their team.
When you look at the forwards especially, do you feel like this might be a year that you have like maybe the most infusion of youth into that group?
It could be, and again, I really, I like our centers, right? And I think what you'll have with a lot of teams when you look around the league is you come up with pairs, and then you're looking for complementary wingers to go with those players. So if your centers are as strong as ours are, I think it really helps bring a younger player or an evolving player along. I think it's the best scenario for people like that.
Your thoughts on Utah joining the league? That's a team with a lot of cap space right now, so they're probably going to be doing some stuff. And the territorial issues between Vegas. You guys helped establish hockey to some degree up there. They had minor leagues for a long time, but
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're going to be doing some things. I would say they have done some things. Yeah. I anticipated that, and it's a unique situation. In Arizona, they had a completely different mandate, completely different template. I don't think one that anyone necessarily enjoyed, but through that, they were able to draft a lot of really good prospects. They were always, they were acquiring dead money to hit the floor. So when they go to Utah and they have much more solid ownership and a lot of cap space, really strong forwards. Really, I think they only had one or two defensemen under contract, so it allows them to go to the market and really improve their team. And then they also made one really big trade. So I anticipated, right back to the move that they would change the look of our conference, and I believe that they will.
And the territorial issues.
Well, I think those are good for us, right? I think that when you have those teams that are nearby, I feel like that's going to potentially be a little bit better rivalry for us than maybe what Arizona was. We've played in the exact building that they're going to open up with. We played, I think, 3 times there in the past. Interestingly, it was LA's home game that we played in Salt Lake each time. and it was really neat how pro Vegas, the fans there were, even though it was LA's home game. So we have lost some fans, I guess, from Salt Lake, but it's I think it's great for the league. I think it'll be a really good franchise.
Normally at a development camp, you have the ECHL coaches involved, but right now you guys are still reworking that. So any news about that's going to come down about your new ECHL affiliate?
Yeah, I think some of those things are pending. Like I think a lot of that traction will start to happen. In our world, everything is about the draft. Then it's about free agency. Then you have development camp, and then you move on to some of the other things that take place. Both with Henderson, with the ECHL teams as well.
Anything else for Kelly today?
I just had one closing comment I wanted to make. Days like this are tough for fans, and they're not easy for like the fans think they know our players. I know our players better than our fans do. So I've got relationships with each of these guys. You have to respect their rights as unrestricted free agents. That's the collective bargaining agreement. We didn't trade these players, so we tried to retain them. We're not going to go into the weeds in what each contract negotiation was with each player, but we were not after huge hometown discounts or anything else like that. We made, I thought, real fair, reasonable offers. I think they would say the same. They had a chance to do something different, and they chose to do that. These aren't guys that had a bullseye on them that we wanted to trade out of the organization. Every one of those guys is a Stanley Cup champion, and when you win a Stanley Cup, you're going to have a connection to those people the rest of your life, not just for the next 6 months or the next year. Those are people that you'll walk with forever. I know last year when we would meet, when we would play the teams in the playoffs that had our players on them. So when we played Winnipeg and we had Laurent Brossoit come over to our dressing room and present him with his Stanley Cup ring, when we gave Riley Smith his Stanley Cup ring at the White House, when we had Jonathan Quick come into our room and get his ring presented to him, those are really tremendous memories that aren't changed by any of these things that happen. It was a really special group, and when you go and look backwards at the teams that win Stanley Cup championships, the Colorado Avalanche, Tampa, pick one. It's the nature of the business. Part of the reason we won the Stanley Cup is we had so many players outperform their contract. Well, when their contracts come due, they go and find market value. That's the nature of the business. So it hurts. We feel the same way that a lot of you do and a lot of our fans do. But again, it's a part of the business that we all have to respect and understand. And at the same time, we're very excited about moving forward. We're very excited about seeing what some of these people can do that are going to get more opportunities potentially if we have more people come into the organization than what we are at presently. Those are all things that will play out. But our nucleus, the core of our dressing room, all of those things is still a very strong unit that's made up of real good talent, real good people. So those would just be my closing thoughts. I meant to touch on that right off the top, but just to close, I wanted to mention that. So thank you.